Hi everyone, AJ here, filling in for KFI. We're here to do our resource development retreat show and tell. Um, Sorry if you were watching our earlier hangout. We had some technical difficulties and we had to start over. So today we're going to talk about Jennifer Greenlee's Partnerships 101 resource that she posted on our site. So we have David here. Say hi, David.
Hello.
We have Hillary. Hi, Hillary.
Hi, everybody.
We have Kendra. Hi, Kendra.
Hi.
And of course we have Jennifer.
And with me is Eric Hannon, too.
Hello. All right. So without further ado, why don't you all take it away and tell us about your Partnerships 101.
Great. So I developed this guide to partnerships. I was realizing that on the media community of practice that there was not a guide for partnerships. And I found that in the 3 or 4 years that we've been working to develop the Mix at SFPL Learning Lab, that we had made our own roadmap to partnerships, and that was a key part of developing this space that you see behind us, and that it was so important to develop those relationships that I needed to put something out there that other people could use and adapt as getting their pathway through these relationships and making their learning labs thrive.
Jennifer, this resource is so great, and I really like the way that you formatted it, sort of like a dating guide, so it makes it all about the relationships. Why don't you take us a little bit through what the structure is, just briefly, kind of the steps that you have outlined in your guide.
Yeah, so I do mention that it's kind of like dating. I wanted to give people a really familiar framework to start with in terms of developing organizational partnerships. Of course, it's not exactly like the personal, but really when it gets down to it, so much is it about the individual contact with representative to representative, and how the relationships grow together in terms of organizationals. So the steps I outlined was, just to format that it's kind of like dating, and that I can use that terminology. And then to think about what your organization already has. So think about your strengths, think about what you actually need, and take some time to reflect about that, and define and outline that clearly in different ways. Find out what the dating pool is like, find out who's out there, have a recruitment strategy, and take time to pause and keep going and discuss and how you're doing and your status. And there's a lot to that particular step about pausing, along with some supporting documentation. And then express your commitment. Commitment can be take various forms. So then I get into those different levels of commitment and how to approach certain subjects as you move along that progression. And then, of course, keep the good relationships going and support them with all kinds of strategies. And I have the partner organizations, the founding partners of the Mix at SFPL, chime in and give some of their takeaways from building the strong partnerships that we have. And then, so there's 12 supporting documents with the article to support each of those points and to give you some visuals, and also just ways to adapt your conversations at your site.
Hillary, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a quick sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I have a quick context question. At Mix, like, what percentage of your programming comes from partners, I guess? Because this is so amazing and such a good resource, and it seems like you must have like tons of partnerships. So I'm wondering like how many you're keeping track of at any time, and how that compares to programs that your librarians might be running versus how many programs are being run by other people.
60, yeah. I would say at this point it's about a 60. I'm not going to give this perfect mathematical answer, but it would be between 60-65% partner-led and the rest librarian-led. And that is evolving, as I've mentioned kind of in the article. The partnerships and the way we present programs is ever evolving. It is not a straight line, and so some of them that are librarian-led currently, we can onboard partnerships and collaborations. And again, just to make it seem not too much like a black and white situation with clean lines, some of the ways that we present partnerships are full on where the partners would be the only presenter and the quote-unquote experts in the program. But then in others, we have partners who collaborate with the librarian to present it together. And in others, we might have learned from professional development that the librarian can then turn around and deliver. So there's various levels and types of partnerships, and I outline those in the article, like presenters, collaborators, advisors, youth connectors. So there's all kinds of ways we do that, but at this point, it's about a 65% to somewhere in there, partnerships led.
Since you mentioned it, that was kind of my bigger question, which I was going to get to later, but maybe since you mentioned it, I really love that you break out into these different types of partners, because I think we use the word partnership so widely, and it could just mean having a meeting with someone or them coming and running a whole program. So I don't know if you wanted to say anything more about those different levels and how people respond to that. Like, do they appreciate that you're sort of being a little more clear about the relationship, or I don't know, anything about how it's helped?
Yeah, I get it. Eric's nodding here too. I think that people do appreciate when we're coming to them with a really organized platform, and even if there are gray areas, at least there's a structure to begin conversations with. I'm just going to also mention that in the first page of the article, I say think about what you already have. So we actually have had some pretty strong, very strong partnerships, and then other lighter touch partnerships throughout our organization. And we had another set of librarians who a few years back had tried to capture some of those experiences, not naming them in the same way we did, but they had a template for partnership profiles so that you're able to profile what kind of partnership is this? Is it light touch? Is it a series of programs? Is it a memo of understanding? And what are the relationships there? So it was really useful to have that, and I welcome you to use that as well.
Great, thanks.
I have a question. So this seems like a really great resource to go out and pursue new partnerships. But are there any tips in the resource to maybe on how we can kind of expound on current partnerships and maybe keep partnerships going and maybe take them a little further?
Yeah. So the last part of the article had a lot of thought bubbles that were provided from our partners who have been with us quite a while. So I'm going to just pull out some of those nuggets because they were super valuable. I would say sending updates, communication is key, in the words of one of our partners. Sending updates, newsletters, hosting hangouts, those kind of continual communications, and just staying on people's radar. For me, I just send we send a monthly newsletter, an e-newsletter, but also just maybe a weekly check-in being, hey, hi, how's it going? Just really a virtual wave to everybody, like, we're still here, contact us if you want to. And also find events that you can work around, identify a clear event each year or a couple of times a year that everyone can jump on and to keep that energy flowing. And obviously not obviously at all, but just to say that point people in each organization and keeping those point people consistent and informing people when there are changes in point people, because that does evolve. Let people know, and check in with your partners to make sure that you're dealing with the correct liaisons. And I would say just make it fun and make sure everyone can be a part of each other's events. California Academy of Sciences has Teen Science Night, massive event that just keeps growing, and we're really happy to be a part of that. We've had Bay Area Youth Media Network Festival, and lots of organizations can jump in there. We have a Civic Hackathon coming up, and that's another great kind of bigger scale event. So I would just say identify those things to participate in. Of course, there's more there. So, but yeah, good question. Just to keep those going, keeping people engaged is also really important.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, I had the question from before, which you touched on a little bit. So you already had, your system already had a couple things in place, and then you were able to take that and develop a structure that was really more for the mix?
Yeah. Yeah, so we had developed the founding partnerships from thanks to the support of the IMLS grant, and so those were foundations that we already had for the mix. Beyond that, we have all of these different levels and types of partnerships throughout the library. And some of those already existing partnerships, we really just deepened that involvement of certain partners to bring in further, where maybe they were just presenters before, popping in on a drop-in basis, but now they're more of a continual presence. So it was really great to add value to the partnerships we already had and to bring them into the youth sphere. If people were working with another audience, and this was an invitation to say, hey, focus on teens, would you like to do this, and how would you feel about this? So it's just been fantastic. And plus, in developing partnerships, you meet such fantastic professionals, in your community, and it gives us energy to meet with them because they're just so impassioned about providing really important services to youth and education, and it's a very energizing kind of work.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about this resource. We have little pieces. We've been adding little pieces that are similar, but this just gives it a way to connect all the pieces we have that is really helpful. I'm really excited about using it.
Excellent. Yeah, I wanted it to be a toolbox mostly for people to grab the handle on and just open up and just see what is useful for you. And if it just helps your discussions, even if it helps awkward moments of some subjects you didn't know how to approach, then great. Whatever thread it helps tie up, that I'd be thrilled if you were able to use it.
All right. Well, great job, Jennifer. Thank you so much for sharing that. Do you guys have any last words before we wrap up?
Great job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for hanging in there with the technical difficulties.
Yeah. Thank you.
I hope everybody is able to open the toolbox and have at it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So this broadcast is going to be linked onto the community of practice, and we're going to attach it to Jennifer's posts that have her Partnership 101 document on there too. So you can find that all on community.umedia.org. All right, thanks guys.